Hey, everybody. I have one of my oldest friends today. This is Adam Andrews, living in the big city of, is it Kelso, Missouri?
Well, I've moved out of that thriving metropolis to the countryside, so now we're a population of 4 in my house, plus a dog.
You guys
It's
have
kind
your
of
own zip code.
no. We use the next largest towns over zip code to get packages. We don't have mail service. I guess somebody probably does, but
Gotcha.
yeah. So
Gotcha.
we're about.
So, how you
So
doing?
I'm good. For your audience who doesn't know where Kelso, Missouri is, it's about 15 minutes south of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and for all you people who don't know where that is, that's about south of St. Louis, about 2.5 hours north of Memphis, right on the Mississippi River. So for
Yeah.
your
And it's
Arkansas
awesome.
folks,
Actually,
yeah,
yeah.
it
So
you've
my
been.
dad actually, yeah, he had a college roommate that was from very near Sykeston and Malden. So when I was a
Hmm.
kid, we went up there all the time. And then, like, I didn't realize Cape Girardeau is one of the coolest cities with like a historic downtown. And I didn't even know that.
It's much more revamped now. Even I know you came up and visited me probably around 2004,
That it was around the
5.
time Johnny Knoxville was there.
Okay. Well, he
Remember
came
when he came up?
twice. Or no, he came for the filming of
The Ringer.
no. No, that was the one with the Downs folks in it. This one was
And I thought
Kill
that was
Shot.
it.
No, it's a movie
Gotcha.
called Kill Shot. Actually, they filmed it and then they refilmed most of the scenes somewhere else. But Diane Lane was in town. The Punisher Thomas Jane was in town. Joseph Gordon-Levitt was in town. Mickey Rourke was in town. Johnny Knoxville. Huge cast, and this thing didn't even get released. I don't think you can rent it. You can watch it. It's
Mickey
pretty good.
Rourke, he's awesome. Like when he was on The Wrestler, I
That's where
cried.
the
That was,
yeah, that was a great movie. He was.
it
They were
was.
waiting, I think, for that movie to get released to then release this one and piggyback off of his success. But I guess it kind of got shelved and straight to video for the most part. But man, that cast, I mean, it's crazy that didn't
Yeah,
come
a
out.
lot of
But
talent.
they did actually, 10 years ago, they did film Gone Girl here, part of it, with Ben
I
Affleck.
love.
And so a lot of those
So
films,
the
the bar's
Okay, so
downtown that he
let
owns.
me get this right here. So on Gone Girl, and this is what I'm specifically thinking in my head. So if you're a reader, Gillian Flynn, that was one of her books, and it was awesome. So that
Mm.
was Ben Affleck, and like they buy a McMansion in one of these overbuilt subdivisions. So was that part of where they filmed?
Um, Not the giant mansion. The house he's in, I mean, the house he's in, when he's the famous, like Ben Affleck meme where he's standing outside like smoking a cigarette. I think that's the
That's from that
driveway
movie.
here in
That's from
Cape.
that.
I
Okay.
I think so. Like where he's just like, fuck. So I think that's in town. It's definitely not a mansion. That was probably filmed somewhere else. His bar is called The Bar, and they had
Mhm.
an existing kind of bar place that had closed down. They rehabbed it, turned it into a bar just for the movie. Um, Kind of cool to watch it be filmed. They used the police station here. They used that bar, a couple like the rundown house, a couple things, all the rundown shit they
Mhm.
used for there. That's how nice it is. And
Yeah.
then all the mansion stuff, I'm sure they filmed somewhere else. But the downtown area, yeah, it is really cool. They've revamped it since you've been here, even more so. They're really putting a lot into that. Um, about me, I'm from this area, like Scott City, Missouri. It's about 5 minutes south of Cape, and I grew up here. And then I moved to Mountain View, Arkansas, my senior year of high
Yep.
school, which is where we met. And then I moved to
Yep.
Jonesboro for 4 years to go to college. And I couldn't wait to get out of Jonesboro because it was a dump. And I moved back here. I'll be honest with you. If Jonesboro then in 2002 looked like Jonesboro now, I wouldn't have left. because
Yeah.
that whole downtown, the college, the downtown, actually serving alcohol in a place where you can buy food
Yeah. It's
and
jam up.
having things to do. But when you're a 22-year-old male, the Eagles ain't cutting it. It's like, I'm going to move
No.
home where I can buy a beer somewhere. So,
I thought it was we went to Despo's on Thursdays and Saturdays, right?
Desperados,
Desperados, or Desperate Hose, as we used to call it. And
Desperate
then,
Hose,
so you had,
the
and then,
501. You had the
and the
501.
Legion. Mm-hmm.
Um, the, the 501 was down like in a hotel or something, like, I don't know, before they
Yeah, it was
had
at
all
the
the
Holiday
hotels.
Inn, wasn't it?
Holiday Inn. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you had the five and Desperados, and then you had the Eagles. But after three times of going there, they try to make you buy a membership for like $40, and we couldn't afford that and didn't want it. So you're always like
Yeah,
looking to see who the bouncer is, so you can like, you don't
right.
recognize me, Girls,
I
they
will
never
say
recognize the
this.
girls, but
Well, I was about to say, all of the places that I lived, and I did live in Jonesboro for a bit, and I think regardless of like the city, I had the funnest time in Jonesboro. And I think it was just because that was pre iPhone, pre technology, and
yeah,
I had fake IDs galore,
yeah,
that just never even got glanced at
yeah.
because they didn't have any way of validating documents.
Yeah,
Uh,
you came to like Walnut Ridge or something with a cousin or
I did.
something you were staying with, and then I met up with you and drug you to Jonesboro to hang out at that
And then I don't think I ever left.
no, that town square apartment or whatever I lived in, townhouse square or something in the ghetto across from McDonald's, which I've driven
Yeah.
by now. I would never let my child stay in that apartment complex ever.
No,
But
it had
it
thatched
was
grass walls.
it did have
Yeah,
grass wallpaper.
it did.
Forgot
It
about
wasn't
that.
like it was like real hay. So it's not like wallpaper that was printed with a grass print. It was like the
No,
three-dimensional straw.
put it
But
in your teeth and put your cowboy hat on. That was our walls for sure.
So I remember the first winter though that I was in Jonesboro, and you're like, I got a keg just because it's Christmas break and we wanted to get a keg. And so you had a keg in your apartment for 2 weeks. And it was just like a steady stream of people floating in and out. Be like 10 a.m. And Howie, I remember him coming in, he'd be like, what's up, Drews? And he'd be over there like getting, tapping the keg first
Yeah,
thing in the morning.
yeah, we would tap the keg. We would did you work did he get you a job at Lazari's? Did you work
Yeah,
there? Okay.
I did.
So
Yeah.
we would we would tap the keg and it would just it was weird like that our back row of that apartment complex was like a small community like the last four apartments. We would on weekends just leave our door open. Everyone would leave their door open. Like that's how you just
All
knew
weekend.
somebody's. That means come and go as you please. Like that means we're
Hmm.
home. You don't have to knock. Everybody would just come in, and people had TV on or you know whatever, and we would just people just come in and out and like I really thinking back, I haven't thought about that place in a long time, but I missed that for sure. I later we went on spring break to Panama City together, and then I never saw you again. I think until you got married. But
Yeah, that was, let's see.
that was
Yeah, that was the
2000.
beginning of a string. Well, I think the bad decisions had actually started maybe like 18 months prior to that. And yeah, and then it was like, let me find the most deranged person that I could get in a relationship with. And yeah, that happened.
That apartment
Um,
complex, I don't think helped. I think they were the front siders, and we were backsiders, and
that's right.
you know, everybody
But you
was.
say leave the door open just for the audience so you can get a visual. We're not talking about like, hey, leave the door open and have the screen door shut, just like, no. We're like, this is
Gonna,
just a door wide open in January,
yeah, or summer. I feel like I don't remember. who paid? I guess I paid the electric bill, but it's I don't really recall. We had to air the smoke out, that's for sure. If we all have cancer because I had a loft bedroom, so smoke rise. It was like a two-story apartment, a tiniest little shotgun apartment you've seen. Like 300 square feet. It was like 200 square feet on the bottom, and then I had a loft bedroom up top. So everyone smoked cigarettes or whatever, and
Everybody.
it just all went up there in my area. And thinking back now, I had to fucking be the smelly kid in college. I had to have been. Like going in, my clothes, there's no way they didn't reek like cigarette smoke.
I'm sure they
And
did, but I don't think
it's
anybody
funny.
noticed. And here's why: because everybody smoked everywhere.
Yeah, that's
Like when I
true.
was in the 90s, it is crazy. Everybody smoked cigarettes in their
Yeah.
car, in their
Oh,
home,
yeah.
standing outside. And I remember like being a freshman in college when I was at Fayetteville, smoking cigarettes with my professors, like on the steps in between
Yeah.
classes.
Yeah.
So then I have one generation, like my kid just finished college, and that freaks
That's
her out so
crazy.
bad because nobody smokes.
Yeah.
Like
No,
if
I'm
you are,
glad.
it's like, yeah, I think it's a great thing that society has shunned.
Yeah.
Wonderful thing because kids
Yeah.
don't smoke. They
No,
vape
and
though.
oh, that's worse. But it's so hard
Douche
to
flutes. Yeah.
stop. Hmm. Interesting. I've seen it. The invention of the internet. I think I watched a video like that with a cigarette. But now I guess you can vape. You girls can figure that out. But
Yeah.
douche flute, awesome. Keeps the
Yeah, I
bugs out.
stole that. Yeah, that's one of my friends, Stefan. He was trying to quit smoking, and he called one day, and he was like, "I got a douche flute," and I'd never heard that, so I was like, "I'm gonna have to steal that." But yeah,
Yeah,
like your
my
apartment, if a human being could be buoyant on cigarette smoke, you would have had like baby cherubs floating on clouds of
yeah,
cigarette smoke.
we and we did wallpaper one of the walls with beer boxes to cover up
Oh
some of the
yeah,
grass, and then we had a little ledge that we around the whole apartment, and we managed to
with the
line that with beer
bottles.
cans and
Yeah.
bottles. Yeah, very classy. We kept a pot of grease on the stove, for frying hash browns or whatever. When we could
Yeah,
afford food, my wife can't fathom this. She moved out of her parents' house into my house. She's a lot younger than I am, but it was one of those things that, like, I left home at 18. Like the day after I graduated, I was like moving to
right.
Jonesboro, and I moved there. Like even Howie, who I met from Missouri, so I lived in Cape Girardeau, Missouri here, and Mountain View's here, and Jonesboro's like the halfway point, 2 hours each way, basically. And so it's the it's where I live right now at the time, which is not that way anymore, but it was the farthest north county in Missouri that they would consider in-state tuition because they said you could drive there in less than 2 hours from the southern tip of the county. We're in the northern tip. So he got in-state tuition. I had a scholarship. And so we just met there. And I don't remember what we were talking about. This happens a lot.
Uh,
But,
I, same man.
oh,
That's to me too.
yeah, I forgot again. But anyway, so we met there for school.
Oh,
Um,
you're talking about food, like
oh
not
yeah,
when
we
you
couldn't
had
afford
food.
anything. Yeah, we couldn't
Yeah.
afford anything. So my stepbrother, my stepdad's son, who still lives in Mountain View area, which he's an electrician now. He's also like building and flipping houses, and they're gorgeous. You should see some of them. He just flipped one. They took me out to it. I couldn't tell you how to get there. You go down the giant hill like you're going to JoJo's, and you make a right and go back that way a while. It's like some newer neighborhood
Mm-hmm.
back in there. Really nice houses. And he just built and flipped one. Took pictures of it. I can send you. He's working on another one. I think at the golf course. I feel like it's at the golf course maybe. Um, but he used to work for
Awesome.
Tom's, and so Tom's,
Like the
the food,
snacks.
chips, yeah, snacks. And so he would
Yeah.
pull off
Mhm.
the stales on the shelf and get the new ones. You got to keep those basically. So about once a month, I'd go home and take all my laundry and have it washed. And I would get a black garbage bag full of those snacks, just honey buns and chips and all that crap. And I'd bring that back and I'd set it under the staircase. And that was like the munchie food for everybody. But I would go, me and Allie would each drink 4 30 packs of beer a week each. Like one on Friday, one Saturday, one Sunday, and then we split the one Monday through Thursday. Those were the serious days, you actually go to class and study. And then I would also get like a fifth of Evan Williams a week. And I would smoke 2 packs of cigarettes, maybe 3 a day, depending on what we're doing, how much we're drinking. And I was like, I can't afford anything. So I would go to, I think it was Bill's or something. It was some on like down on Huntington or Johnson down there, some really seedy grocery store and buy a case of ramen noodles. And they equated to 11 cents a package. And on Tuesdays at McDonald's across the street, they had 29-cent hamburgers on Tuesdays. So I would go buy 10 of them and I would eat one a day, except on the weekends, I'd eat like 2 and I'd throw them in the freezer and then I'd just take one out and then I could have like 2 packs of ramen a day. We didn't eat breakfast and it would just be for lunch and dinner. So I would have like a cheeseburger and 4 packs of ramen a day and then drink a 30 pack of beer.
So
And we
let
save a
me
little
know
money in
how,
case, you know,
like, how do you thaw out a frozen McDonald's cheeseburger? Because
throw it in the
I don't
fridge.
I don't see that reheating very
Oh,
good.
microwave. It's not supposed to be good. It's just supposed to be sustenance. It was almost like a homeless person eating garbage. It was really just like I ate garbage just so we could drink and have a good time. And we thought we
Yeah.
were the shit. We thought we had all
And we
kinds
did
of
have a
money.
fun time, and I will vouch, like, they really did drink that much beer. I remember
Yeah.
Adam getting paid, and he'd be like, I got to go to the beer store, get this squared away, and I have $7 left until for 2 weeks. And
Yeah.
if I
Smoke
hadn't
the
have worked at
Winstons.
Lazari, yeah, I worked at Lazari, so like they would make these Italian loaves of bread that we would give everybody. So I'd have like 10 loaves of bread. You know, I would drive
Yeah.
around eating. Hmm.
Howie would bring home a big plate of like chicken Alfredo pasta or something, and I would smoke Winston Lights because at the drive-through tobacco store, for anyone who doesn't have those, it was buy 2 packs get 2 free, which was like you know $5 for 4 packs of cigarettes back then. $6. Our rent was $180 a person. This is 1998. 99. You split the electric bill, which was, you know, $75 a person, and that's what we did. I got my
Hmm.
furniture from yard sales or out in the street, or I thought it was shit. We had a little bit of, we saved up a little money and bought the rental returns from Rent-A-Center that was repo, and the pleather that cracked, you'd scratch your legs on it if you didn't put a blanket on there. And we didn't
Yeah.
care. We were high on the hog.
But part of
Yeah.
that, I miss stuff like that because, well, I'll be honest, I'm still like majorly cheap. I have a big problem paying a lot of money for furniture. And it's like if you have
Yeah.
kids, if you have dogs. So I'm like, man, do you remember when you got a $75 living room set of furniture? But you didn't have to worry about it getting messed up. You're not like
Yep.
telling the dogs to get off of it or telling the kids to get their Capri Sun. Don't drink your Capri Sun on the couch.
Yep.
If we could all just go back to that like level of um immaterialism, like let's
Oh,
focus on the important stuff like beer and having a good time, and like we can sit on a free sofa.
I lose my shit at my kids just putting their fingers on a window. I'm like, God damn
Come
it, you
on.
don't have to clean that, and they go in the
Exactly.
living room or spill a little bit and it's a big deal. Speaking of couches, that reminds me, and being cheap on food, I forgot that we used to, when me and I had a little extra scratch, we would order a Papa John's pizza and we would hide it under the couch. That's where, not in the fridge, because we knew somebody would eat it when they're drunk, and so we would eat a couple pieces. We'd get a $5 large when they ran a special, and we would slide it under the couch. That's where the pizza was at, and we would look for it in the morning. because
Yeah.
we would have the
Yes.
munchies.
Obviously, you're not
Sofa pizza
concerned about like E. coli or,
or
food
bugs
poisoning.
or roaches. No, no, sofa pizza.
Yeah.
This
And
is
I
why
think
I
back
don't
about
get
all
sick.
this. Yeah, exactly. How
This
did
is
we
why I don't
not
get sick.
have constant, like foot
Diarrhea.
rot? Exactly. Dysentery. Because on
Yeah.
top of all that, we're drinking all of these disgusting well drinks when we go
Well, that killed all
out,
the bacteria. That killed the bacteria.
I
That's
guess.
I'm 100% have to believe that all the alcohol pickled our livers and stomachs, and you know, killed
More than
everything.
likely.
So my kids
I
can't even
think,
look at a chicken nugget that's not crunchy enough. This isn't crunchy enough. I don't like it. I'm like, oh
dude, I
my
know.
god.
Like, if you're hungry enough, you will eat 3-day-old bread from Lazari's like it's nobody's business.
Yeah, I got some pizza under the couch, boys. If you're hungry, you want pizza? Have the 3-day old under the couch. So
Oh, my God. Yes.
no.
Now, it's like some of my kids are like Skylar has that mentality. She is so cheap, Adam. She is the
It's because she's
most,
lived on her own.
she
She's been
has.
there. You
So
got
now
to.
she has her own career. She's been dating this guy for over 2 years. So she wanted to get him like a real birthday present. Because before she's always gotten him like cheap stuff that college kids can afford. So she
Yeah.
got him a Yeti cooler. And
Well,
she sent me a picture and she was like, this hurt so
oh,
bad. And then she called and she was like, I was standing at the register and
I
I'm
would have took
just
her down.
like, she's like, I'm just sweating.
I bet. I bet. I can't do it. I can't buy a Yeti. I'm like Ozark Trail, Magellan. I will never buy a Yeti cooler. It's like I can't do it. I'm like, I'd rather buy that extra bag of ice that it melts for
Mm-hmm.
that whenever I need it, that long weekend. Okay, it cost me 2 bags of ice 3 times a summer, 5 times a summer for the next 20 years before that cooler will be paid off.
But
So
the money that you
it's,
save on the cooler itself is going to you're going to exponentially have more drinks to put in the container.
oh yeah, and another
And
cooler.
ice is really not expensive. Like, it's about
Oh,
1 cent, per cubic yard if you want to average it all out. Or you could just
it's
make it yourself.
this happens, and now I live in
Mm-hmm.
a world where my wife has an ice machine on the counter that makes the little cube
No,
chewy ice.
shut up.
It's right there. She's
I'm
just
so
cleaning it.
jealous.
She's
Is it the
cleaning it.
Sonic ice machine?
No, but here, let me. It's this thing. We're actually running the vinegar through and cleaning it as we speak. So it normally sits over there. But
So
oh yeah,
glorious.
yep, yep. She's got to have that chewy ice, and it was one of those Amazon finds or Shein or whatever she gets on. So it was only like, I say only like $200 or something, but they're normally like double that, I think. But
That's really not bad because let's think about
it's
this. In 1998, those weren't even an option.
no, no. I didn't even have an ice machine. We had trays. I had to crack them
Exactly.
to get ice.
However, if you live cheap in college, kids, and if you don't indebt yourself, you can grow up to have your own ice machine.
Yeah, if you go
You
to
can.
college, you could skip it. So,
And right. And this day and age, like I don't really see a ton of value in a degree like I once did because I'm doing nothing with any college experience that I have.
the
You
degree
know,
in psychology, and I got a job at AT&T answering the phone for a living. That's how
I
that
was
started.
actually
And then
using that as an example because psychology though is very broad. It gives you a whole lot of breadth in dealing with people, which you're going to deal with in every job that you have.
I think I don't think anyone who, you know, people that have a degree in psychology don't go into it to learn anything. I think they're the type of people who already are, I don't want to say intuitive or more in tune with other people's feelings anyway. I think are naturally attracted to that degree,
Yeah,
maybe, and they just want to learn about, because in college, it's not like you're learning a shitload about
you're not.
people. You're
You're
taking
not.
experimental psychology with teaching a rat how to push a lever for water, and you're studying the history of psychology. I mean, unless you go further to get a master's in counseling or something
Right.
but it's one of those things where college degrees, unless you go on and get a master's, if you're not going to get a master's, just get it in anything so that you can put 4-year degree on your resume
That's
so
right.
someone will hire you because they require, that's how they weed out
Right.
candidates. And it's one of those things that it's just like being an Eagle Scout. You just do it to say you finished something
Right.
and didn't give up on it. But other than that, no, there's not a lot of value in it. I like
Mm-mm.
what a lot of kids are doing now. It wasn't really an option when I was a kid, and I'm kind of glad it wasn't an option. But now, like my niece has graduated high school and she's the fucking junior in college almost. They just
Right.
dual credit everything.
Exactly.
Do that. It's way cheaper. I
Yep.
do I do feel bad for kids though because you, like the whole point of college was learning how to manage your time on your own and your money, but also interact with other humans, interact with teachers, get a job, like social. Like these kids are going to be graduating college before they're even 21. And it's like, you're not even
Correct.
learning how to binge drink and have a horrible experience. And you're going to go to the bar at 21
Mm-hmm.
and be out of college and you're
Yeah.
going to go have happy hour with your coworkers and embarrass yourself because you don't know how to drink like an idiot
That's
college kid
exactly
and
right.
get that out of the way.
So yeah, 100%. And I think it's not necessarily the college degree. It's just that you show you've invested in yourself
Mm-hmm.
and you've committed to something and you finished it. So if you are, in this point of your life where you have a kid who is, the biggest thing that you need to think about is the freest way to do it. Because Skylar did that. She did concurrent credit in high school
Mm-hmm.
and had she had over an entire year of credits covered and it was
Uh-huh.
free. Why would you not do that?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
plus I see a lot of kids because I do mortgages, so you see everybody's entire financial history, and I will see kids with 6 figures in student loan debt who have a salary making under like 60,000 a year, and those numbers don't math.
No, you got $1,000 a month student loan payment, and
And yeah, that's probably interest on 6 figures, to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah, and
Yeah,
you are paying for 30 years, or whatever, because you keep getting it deferred, and you're paying $1,000 a month for something that's not going to pay you back $1,000 a month
no,
if you want to have some car and all that good stuff. But
correct.
I mean, there are a lot of trade jobs that make a ton of money, and you can be your
A
own boss.
ton.
You be your own boss. I would say, well, let me ask you this: are you paying for kids' college? Your kids' college?
No,
I'm going to do what my parents did to
no.
me and
You got to
say,
have some skin in the game. I'm sorry.
yeah, I, my kids make straight A's. They're young. They're 6 and 11, and they, 11-year-old makes straight A's. He's disappointed if he has an A-, which so I love that.
Good
And
job.
he is. I'm going to tell him the same thing that was told to me: get a scholarship or get a loan.
Yep,
Period. I,
exactly.
I did as soon as the day they were born. I'm a member of Catholic by baptism. I really don't go much
You're
in my
not like a
life.
practicing.
Try not to be, but that sounds horrible. No, I quit going. My kid. I grew up in Catholic school, and it was like I'll get back to that. So I'm a Knights of Columbus member, is where I got started, but it was a
Knights of Columbus, that hurt.
Knights, great, great Oaks, Raymond. So, um, and as soon as my kids were born, I took out like a whole life insurance policy on them, like a pay
Mm-hmm.
life, 20
Yep.
15 or 20-year pay life, maybe it
And
was.
it'll have a cash value once they get there.
Yeah, so when they turn like 25, it'll be worth like $25,000.
Right.
If they let it go till they're 60, it'll be worth 120,000 or something. So
Right.
I'm just going to tell them, I'm going to turn it over to them. They're going to graduate and it'll be paid off. And I'm just going to say, there you go. Like
That's right.
you got 25 grand now. Do you need it to help buy a car, put a down payment on a house, pay off a
Mm-hmm.
loan? Or are you in good shape? And you can just let that dog eat,
Right.
and maybe it's your retirement, maybe it's whatever. So
That's right.
that's what they're getting.
I think
You
that's a
know,
great, I think that's like, that is a great solid start too, because that can be used for anything. It's not like, hey, you have to use this for college tuition, because that might
yeah,
not be their life's path.
right.
Or they could say, I want to leave this where it's at so it, grows value. And at that point, they've got the option. So good job, mom and dad.
Yeah,
But
it's
I'm 100% with you though, that I don't think parents need to just write a check for their kids to go to whatever college they want, because that, once again, it's removing the value of that education to the person that's getting it.
yeah. You need to get kicked in the ass a couple times. You don't need that
Yeah.
safety net. So
So let me
it's
just tell you a little
one of those
story, because
things.
I've been wanting to connect with you for like 2 years and tell you this, because you're the one person that I know that this is going to just blow your mind. So, like having a kid that just finished college was a real experience for me, because I feel like there is so much that's changed from the 90s to
Oh,
now. Okay. Skylar's a lot like me, the way that she, hangs out with people and interacts. She's got just a real, sometimes off color sense of humor. Okay. So when she was a freshman, she rushed a sorority and she joined a sorority and she loved it. And then her sophomore year, she joined a co ed fraternity for engineers. And it's like a national thing. They had a chapter at Arkansas that's one of the older chapters, and she absolutely loved it. So, year one, she joins this, and then the second year, she was in Theta Tau. She was on the like recruiting um, committee, and every year they had what was called like the pledge camp out, and they would
uh-huh.
do things like they had a grenade pledge. So if somebody finished a drink, they would take their empty can and crush it and throw it on the ground and yell grenade, and then the grenade pledge would come and body slam the can. This is, fun times. And the
Okay.
first year Skylar did this, her boyfriend was the grenade pledge. So they had a great camp out. And then a few weeks later, Skylar got a formal letter of reprimand from the national headquarters for Theta Tau for hazing.
Wow.
Yeah, for hazing. And then also because they were doing things like they had the pledge booklets where you would learn all these things about like Theta Tau and its principles. And then they would have to study for the different mechanical or civil engineering tests. So if you're a pledge, you always had to have like your booklet on your person. So you could grab it from them, because it's like part of
Yeah.
the game. So Skylar
Yeah.
was real good about snatching people's books and taking off with them. And apparently this hurt their little feelings. Yes. So I guess there was a girl who saw the grenade pledge had a small bruise on his chest. And he didn't say anything about it, but she saw it and like, said this is an incitement to violence. I thought it was hilarious because I'm like, here's this little girl who literally I have the letter and it blew my
Did
mind.
you frame
But
it? She should frame
I'm going to keep it just because it was one of those things like, is this seriously what society has devolved to? Like,
it. This is the problem. I think you segue into a very good point. This is the problem with all America is the outrage on behalf of someone else who isn't outraged. That virtue signaling where it's
totally.
like the Washington Redskins have to change their name because white people are offended for,
Yeah.
and now Native Americans are suing the
They're
NFL to
pissed.
have their name reinstated. And I
Yeah. They're
always thought
like, it
that,
was an honor to them.
yeah, so if you want to change your name because you wonder if it's offensive, take the poll and let the people you might be offending answer and then
Very
take their
good.
input. Like for instance, Jonesboro Indians, SEMO, Cape, they were the Indians. Now they're the Red Hawks, they're the Red Wolves because we don't want to offend anybody where we're too lazy to change our school colors.
Right.
So we got to keep a red animal no one's ever heard of. But I
What
always
even is
thought
a red wolf?
he's a wolf that has my shade of fur. I
He's a
think
ginger. He's a Viking wolf.
he's like a ginger wolf. Yeah. So it's what kills me is I remember that guy who at Jonesboro Indian games would go every year, I think, to Oklahoma and have to go to a reservation, learn the dances, learn the chants. He would ride the horse on the football field in his headgear and the full thing and, throw the spear in the end zone when they scored. But he had to pay homage to them properly.
Right.
It wasn't a bunch of people going, "We're the Indians," and they're just drunk as shit, playing fake casinos.
Right.
I mean, that would be
Yeah,
offensive.
it
Um,
would. But my thing is, look, the most American and the most like red-blooded thing that you can do as a compliment to a group of people is name your sports team after them.
yeah, it's not like you're trying to lose. Like we're trying to
Yeah.
strike fear in somebody and win.
Right, because we are awesome. I mean, you don't want to be like, I don't know, the Arkansas Flamingos, or you don't have any football teams that are like the Pennsylvania Caucasians. That
yeah, the
doesn't sound, I mean,
Paisleys, and everybody's in like a dress shirt.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that does. So the guy from Jonesboro would actually go and study with the actual Native Americans who knew what he was doing. So they obviously were like, hey, we're going to show you the real way to do this so that you
had
can
to.
honor our traditions.
Yeah, and
You
show
know,
real warrior. You know,
spirit. Hmm.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
they had to. So it's so that's the outrage culture, and it's
Yeah.
I would consider myself liberal, but not uh, what's woke. That's what I'm looking for.
Yes. So
And
I have
just
always
like,
considered myself to be like socially liberal. I don't really, people can do whatever they want. They are free to live their lives. The thing that
mhm,
I have the problem with is it seems like to me the woke thing, it's like you have to inflict your viewpoint
yeah,
on everyone and force them to participate. And I feel like that is anti freedom.
sure. A
Because,
perfect
yeah.
example is like Harvard right now.
Oh,
College
yes,
campuses are awful, and they're to the
they
point
are.
now where I think at Harvard, if I'm not mistaken, they've went so far left to be inclusive and try to um, I think it's for African Americans, perhaps, be like, hey, we're really, we want you guys to feel so special that we're going to give you your own dorm. So you want to
That's
segregate?
segregation. Hmm.
Right? Like you're so far
Right.
left. You're like it doesn't even make sense
Yeah.
anymore. So, and what's sad is I think the majority of the human population is in the middle, except for super young people who are being indoctrinated with some really woke
Yeah.
mindset and some really old people who will not bend their ancient viewpoints at all. But the
Right.
majority of the rest of the 60 to 70% of us live in the middle, but that's not newsworthy.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I
no
would
one
say it'd
sees
be
that.
even greater than that. I think the bell
No.
curve is more like 90% of people. And then because the people that you hear derogatorily referred to as boomers,
Yeah.
they're very, very few. And then the people who are super like, just really progressive about all of their ideas, those are even fewer. So we got the extremes on each side who are the loudest. It's like most
Yeah.
of the people, you were correct, because we're just like, hey, let everybody do what's best for them while
Yeah.
encompassing common sense.
Yeah.
Like,
This
okay,
doesn't
did you
happen.
see there was a guy in Panama, an American citizen? Did you see this that happened this week?
I don't think so.
There were some climate protesters blocking the road. and I don't know exactly what happened, but they wouldn't move, and he shot them. Yeah, and here's the
Okay.
scary thing to me. Like, he got out, pointed his gun at them, and kept telling them to move. And they just stood there. Like, why wouldn't you just move?
Yeah, but I think the punishment probably didn't fit the crime on that one.
Oh,
I think I
I am not
deserve to
endorse.
die for blocking traffic.
No, I am not
But I agree.
endorsing him. But if somebody does
Ferguson,
get out, and I'm like, sorry trees and sorry climate, I don't want to get shot. I'm going to move out of the way real quick because this psycho
yeah.
is going to go off.
Well, he was in Panama. Maybe they didn't understand English. I think the gun would
I don't know, but if somebody gets out of
be
their car, and
universal.
I'm just going to move. I'm not going to
Yeah,
like get shot over my cause.
yeah. There was a lot of that in Ferguson up here in St.
Mm-hmm.
Louis when all that happened, and it's so funny to see the house I was raised in. Um, my mom would have been the protester in the street. My dad actually got his guns and went to go guard a quick trip convenience store. And he's like, fucking whatever, He can't hardly walk, He's like, got to pull up right to the door, or in a wheelchair, so and hold his rifles and be ready to kill somebody. My mom's the one like looting.
Yeah.
So
It's
it's
so
so
funny.
weird.
Every time I see the Rolling Stones, I think about your mom. Adam's mom
Well,
is like the biggest Rolling Stones fan of all time.
the new album's good. If you
Is
haven't heard
it?
it,
I
yes, it
haven't heard
actually
it.
is. And I never, it's funny, when you grow up and your mom's a Rolling Stones fan, you are not a Rolling Stones fan. What your mom listens to
I
isn't cool.
understand. Right.
And so that was always on the radio. And it was like, this sucks. But it was like, I never really was an Elvis fan until I waited tables in Memphis at Elvis's restaurant. And then all of a sudden you hear it so much, you know all the words.
It
And
becomes part
then
of who you are.
it does. And so I bought, my mom bought tickets for me and her to go to the Rolling Stones concert a couple of years ago. And then it got canceled with COVID. And then after that, she's not big with crowds and stuff anymore. So she had the tickets and just gave them to me and Whitney to go. And that was one of the best concerts. I mean, that old 80-year-old man is running up and down the stage, singing, not missing a beat, not his breath, not out of breath, nothing,
Yeah,
the whole show. And I watch people today and they just stand there, and it's like,
exactly.
this dude puts on a show. And my wife, 7 years younger than me, God love her, doesn't, she's like, the Rolling Stones, what do they sing? She knew every song they sang. You
Yeah,
just know them. You hear them. They're on,
you do.
every hit is on a movie. It's on a TV show. It's on a commercial,
Yeah.
and
Not
so
only that,
it
but
was
you're just
great.
in the same room as a freaking legend. It doesn't
Greatest,
matter, you know?
greatest rock and roll band of all
Yeah.
time.
We went to see the Eagles last year with a couple of our friends. It was me and my husband and a couple of our good friends. And Joe Walsh was the same way.
Is it
Like
good? I
that
love the Eagles.
dude, I mean, he's like, I don't know, 4'10, maybe weighs 75 pounds, and he's like 1,000 years old. But I was like, if this man can put on a 3 hour show and move around and he's doing all this stuff, plus the hard, druggy life that he
Yeah,
lived, what's my excuse? Because I'm having a
yeah,
hard time walking up these nosebleeds,
right.
to get to my
And
seat. Yeah.
yeah, I would have to say him and Don Henley maybe together, maybe the greatest songwriters in the history
I'm
of
telling you, it
rock
was
music. All
magic.
this, all the hits they had on their own, and then
So
together,
good.
they're
Yeah.
fantastic. My
They
friend,
played Hotel California start to finish, and then they played all of their good hits. But
yeah,
the guy that died, that wrote Take It Easy,
yeah,
what was his name? The Eagles guy that died a few years ago.
I'm
Anyway,
lost
his
on his
son
name.
came, and then he sang a couple of their hits with them. But guess who was the lead filling in for that guy? Vince Gill. And it was freaking insane. Because he's got that real
Vince,
good tenor voice.
he's got some pipes. Yep.
It was
Speaking of
amazing.
pipes. I don't watch many award shows. I don't do a lot of that. Like it's weird growing up as a TV kid. Like one of the first kids to have cable in my neighborhood at 5 years old, and love movies, love all that stuff. Like I'm a series and movie watcher. Like I just binge and I can't help it. I probably am watching 10 different series right now. I just watch them constantly. If I'm on the treadmill, I'm watching them. Peloton now lets you watch Netflix on the screen while you're
What?
doing it. It's a new download. Just happened.
I
You
haven't turned my Peloton on in 18 months. I might want to update it and do that.
go click more rides, and now Netflix, boom, HBO Max, what? There's like four of them. It's on there, so you can
Okay.
just ride and watch. And Game Changer just came out, and I'm a series show. My wife doesn't watch TV. She won't even look at the TV. Actually, if it wasn't for sports, I'd cancel cable. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to watch sports with canceling cable. My kids don't watch TV. An occasional movie, but they're iPad YouTube. They're YouTube kids. So
Right.
it's insane. Not, but anyway, happened to turn on TV because my crappy internet, which wasn't streaming the best the other night when both kids are on VR headsets and wife's on whatever, and whatever. So the country music awards were on. Shout out to Lainey Wilson's pants.
Booty.
They were doing there. But best performance of the night, hands down, Post Malone singing Joe Diffie.
I love Post Malone.
He's so
I took
talented.
Skylar. I took Skylar to
He needs a country
Nashville.
album. He's going to put a country album out soon. It's going to be
So this
nice.
was her. I think it was Skylar's 17th birthday. She wanted to go see Post Malone. So I took her to Nashville, and there were like 3 of her friends that were going to go with her. So I took her there, stood in line with her to meet her friends, and then picked her right up when we went to the hotel afterward. But the night before, she and I were just walking around downtown Nashville, and we just kind of go down this empty street, and these 3 dudes are walking toward us. And of course, I'm, getting my stuff and sort of moving out of the way. And Skylar's like, "Hey, Post." And he
Yeah.
stops and he's like, "What's up?" And she's like, "How's it going?" And then they start talking, and she takes a selfie with him. And of course, this was like right when it was when I think Stoney had just come out. Is that one of his albums or something?
I
And
got
I was
introduced to him
like,
through like
I'm like, who is this
Spider-Man.
homeless man with his tattooed face? Get away from my child. And then she's like, "Mom, that was Post Malone." And so these 2 older women, got to be in their 70s, they're sightseeing in Nashville. They walk up to me, and she's like, "Honey, who was that? Was that somebody famous?" And I was like, "Well, apparently it was Post Malone."
They're
Yeah,
like,
but
post office shut down years ago. What?
Post Malone? Who's that? But no, he
Isn't
was
he play
really.
basketball?
Is he high post or low post? But
Carl Malone?
he is one of those Malone twins from Muskogee.
Sam Malone from Cheers?
No, from Mississippi. But he was very humble. I was kind of freaked out just because I had all my mom senses going off, and I thought we're about to get accosted by 3 homeless dudes. And here's the takeaway though. Skylar was like, he smelled really bad. He smelled like BO and beer.
I can
And she
see
was
that.
like, the beer's understandable, but the BO isn't.
Yeah, that's what I heard about Matthew McConaughey from like every woman who's filmed with him on set. He's not a big deodorant guy, he's more of a all natural.
Can't
But
handle it.
no,
I
I
can't
get it.
handle it.
I will tell you, I had to get off the antiperspirant and go straight deodorant
My
several
husband
months
has
ago.
been on that. So
I had to because just getting rash, and then it's constant
yeah.
like steroid cream, which thins the skin, makes it worse, makes the rash go away, but then makes you more susceptible to getting an
Yeah.
infection. Like it's just constant. And I
Yeah.
was noticing
Did
I
you
was going to the
have
dermatologist.
it's like no skin.
Oh man, it is rough. And so she's like, try to do no deodorant for a while. And I tried that for a couple of weeks. I'm like,
Whitney's like, mm-mm.
hard pass. Another shower, you know. And so I tried that for a while, and I was like, she's like, well, try like natural deodorant. And I tried like this. They said Tom's of Maine, use Tom's of Maine.
Blake
And
literally bought some of that yesterday.
uh, it's the clear deodorant, it's like the slick, it's not white, it's slick, and it breaks me out so bad, like worse than the rash. I'm like, I can't handle this. So I
Really?
found, so as cheap as it is, I went with the Old Spice Gentleman's Blend, no parabens, no dyes, whatever. It has a
Right.
lot of fragrance in it, but no aluminum. That was the thing. It's like, I can't wear a wedding ring that's not silicone. If it's metal, I
Yep.
break out. Tungsten, titanium, belt buckle breaks out my belly. Keys in my pocket will break my leg out. And
Dang.
so I went with this, cleared up everything. I mean, if I was getting a rash anywhere, I don't get it. Like I'm
Yeah.
talking on my scalp. It
Mm-hmm.
cleared that up by I think I just sweat that aluminum through your
Yeah.
pores. And
Yes.
and so
Blake had that
once
exact same thing happen to him,
well,
but it was Old Spice that actually had given him that
yeah,
rash the first time, and we figured out that it was the aluminum.
yeah.
But it looked like it had burned the top layer of his skin off. It was like a chemical burn. It was crazy.
Mine would just be like right in the crease. And so they were like, I can't figure out if it's something you're applying or something from within. So it's like process of elimination. But after about a year of using that gentleman's blend, it did start to come back a little bit. And I got off of it and I went without deodorant for like a week. And then I tried the Tom's of Maine again, and then it was just disaster. So then I was like, I'm going back to the gentleman's blend. And now it's been like 2 months and it hasn't came back. So maybe I just, because the
Yeah,
dermatologist is like, the fragrance, like they're like Old Spice has lots of fragrance, which some people
it
don't
does.
agree with. But I've used it again. I'm back on it again. So if any of y'all have rash, like get off the aluminum stuff under your arms. I know
Yeah.
you might pit out a little bit more, but that
I'm
brings
not
me to a
opposed to
point.
fragrance. Like I'm not
Yeah,
opposed to fragrance at all, especially if it's designed to like stop funk.
yeah,
Fragrance is going to be okay to me.
yeah. Speaking of which, I had this idea. So if anyone wants to put it in play, and this is recorded, so I'll take the royalties for it, and we can help develop it. But if this just reminds me all of a sudden several years ago, because I got a buddy, even with, you could put on 10 pounds of antiperspirant, he's going to pit through his dress shirts and his
Yeah.
shirts. And it's embarrassing. And had an idea, kind of like a shirt. It was a line of t-shirts or undershirts, like just the Hanes plain that you can wear under your shirts. And they have a little pocket in there that you put like a pad in,
Like a
like a
maxi pad.
yeah, and you take it out, throw it away, but it would absorb all the moisture, which then you could take them out, throw them away. No more yellow stains on your
Okay.
t-shirts. No more sweating out through your whatever, and you could sell those packs. I mean, dime a dozen. It's just a little slide it in, pull it out if it gets drenched and you need to swap them out.
It's a good idea.
I
So
feel
I
like
have
it's
a
a good idea.
friend who is an inventor, and he has a company where he gets patents, and he's got a couple that he's pushing through right now. I'm
There you
I'm going to
go.
connect you with him because he actually had an
Pit
idea
pads.
for
Pit,
sheets for people who have restless legs, and it had like this pocket in it. He had the prototype, so he would be all about that. Like that's a
pit
really good
pads.
idea because
Spit pads.
what if it's something like a wedding? Okay,
Yeah.
that's the ideal situation where you're going to need the pit pads. If you are a very if you're a stress sweater
Oh,
and
you
yeah,
can even do an underwear one. Oh my God, my butt sweats so much. It's
yeah,
ridiculous. Like in the
that would be
summertime,
epic.
khaki shorts. Go to a concert or go outside in a pair of khaki shorts and you just got
Yeah.
this sweat line on your butt.
I don't think it matters if you're totally naked in the summer in this area of the country.
Oh
That's
yeah.
going to happen. You
Yeah.
could be inside, you could be in a freezer, and you're still going to
Yep.
have that butt sweat.
Yep. Butt
I
sweat.
think you're
It's the
onto
worst.
something. And here's what I love. Like you get to a certain point in life and you're no longer embarrassed, you're solution focused.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
it's like, you know what? All of the crap that could have happened in my life to make me totally ashamed and embarrassed of my being has already happened. So let's like take these things and get the solution part of it. Let's focus on
It's
that.
So weird you so weird you say that. Um, because I just watched the first episode of a brand new TV show that just came out like last night or today. It's called The Curse. I think it's Emma Stone's new TV show. I think it's on Paramount or something. Like this guy's gratuitously, you're just watching the show, and all of a sudden it cuts to her husband peeing, and close up just of his wiener, and then it goes up to him, and I'm like that, and I look back at my wife and I rewound it. I was like, is this
Full male
gratuitous?
frontal nudity?
And that's it, like just the wiener, and then he's just peeing for just no reason, and you're like,
I
and
mean, I don't like just
I
looking
show
at
Whitney.
that.
Wait, no, yeah, it's just like looking at a vagina, like not for me. Like, well, I'm just gonna stare at one,
Yeah.
but it's like just looking at it. And I pause, and I was like, Whitney, are you seeing this? She's like, hmm. And I go, well, first of all, I was like, I'm not feeling so bad right now because that was very tiny. And I was like, finally, a movie that doesn't have gratuitous male violence or male violence, that is violent, male nudity, which is not like a giant. And I'm like, nice. And then later
Yeah.
on, it shows like his father in law peeing. And he turns around, little wiener sticking out. And he brings up to him, like, I know you got a little dick too. And it's like, what? Like, I guess she had told her mom, who told her dad, that her husband had a small wiener or something. And so all of a sudden, he was like, once you accept it and realize, and you just go out and say, hey, tell everyone I got a little dick, get it off your chest, make a joke about it, you will totally free yourself from the worry of your problems, which is like the pit sweat. Like, just accept it, work on a solution. And like,
Yeah.
he like came over to him, and he's like, and the guy grew tomatoes. He's like, we're like the cherry tomato boys, or whatever. And I was like, okay.
I mean, I can understand the dialogue there. Like that would be hilarious dialogue in Seinfeld or another show, but it's kind of weird that they're showing it.
Yeah. That's today's age,
It's like
we can't,
it's like I didn't need a visual, I
no.
can imagine this in my head. Yeah, because there's just some things I don't want to see. Like for instance, I'm not whatsoever against the body positivity movement. And I think it is wonderful because I grew up in a day and age where, like, you had these perfectly airbrushed magazines, and that's all we had. And there was no comparison of reality. Now, having
Yeah.
said that,
Yeah.
I do not want to look at people wearing a thong and strings with all of their stuff. I don't want to see it. Lizzo,
Especially,
no hate, no shade, but cover it up.
yeah, there needs to be a somewhat bit of modesty out there. I think. Yeah, it's not for everybody. Let me tell you, it's not. I agree with you. Like, be comfortable in your skin. If you're comfortable, that's great for your mental health. But let me tell you, most problems in this world come from obesity,
Health
COVID,
problems do.
COVID deaths, hospital bills.
Diabetes,
Diabetes kills more
heart
people than
disease.
anything. It's all from our horrible American diet filled with sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you know, don't be so body positive about it. There's a lot of heavy set people that run marathons. Great. You know,
Correct.
it's very tough to get over genetics. I'm one of them. I couldn't lose my stomach if you couldn't pay me $1 million to lose it. It would never happen. But I try to be healthy. I run and I do
Right.
certain things to try. I don't drink that much. I don't smoke at all. And I don't try not to eat like total shit. It's the weekends or whatever. But
Yeah.
I try to be healthy. And but body positivity is one thing, but celebrating obesity is a real problem with this whole
Right.
country. It's
I mean, I
number one.
agree. I agree. It's like when you're holding that as the ideal that
Yeah,
people are aspiring to, because no, that's not it. It's like everybody has their own challenges, but don't take a snapshot of perhaps, giving up on life or any standard and then throw it in everybody's face naked.
yeah, yeah, and be like, I love me. Well, that's great. I'm
Yeah,
glad
well,
you
that
love
is
you, but
great. But
it's
my eyes just got assaulted by something that I didn't choose to look at.
and don't don't tell your kids it's healthy.
Yeah,
It might
but
be
now
healthy to
I
accept
do
yourself.
say like it's way different. My two girls versus what I was exposed to in high school. I've been really a lot more strict on the social media and stuff. I don't. It's
Yeah.
like especially Instagram, but I feel like the only thing that I was presented as a teenage girl was something that was completely and totally fake.
Yeah, and it's and it was unhealthy to the other extreme. I remember,
Right.
the early 90s, the Kate Moss, that was attractive, was being so thin, you're
Heroin
anorexic.
chic. Yeah.
Yeah, and now I'm happy that it's curvier is is in,
Yes.
but and it's a little easier to achieve, I think.
Hmm.
But yeah, you can't go to the other extreme where it's like so much body positivity that you just don't care.
Right. It's like my body is going to positively attract all of the islands.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, I want to look like those
I
two
know.
600-pound sisters on TV. Like,
Tammy and Amy. Everly
oh,
is obsessed with that show, and I'm telling
really?
you, I was like, I saw the bottom of Amy's feet once, and I just couldn't get over it.
Hard pass.
Yeah, hard pass. But they are
Hard
pretty
pass.
funny. They are pretty
Um,
funny.
yeah, well, like when your forehead overlaps your nose, I didn't know you could be that fat in your forehead.
I didn't know you could have a roll on your
Yeah,
forehead.
yeah. I mean,
Now, I know you can have everybody's got the love handles and all that stuff, but when you start getting rolls above your
over your
brow
eyebrow,
ridge or on your scalp, you
it's got nowhere
know,
else to go. It's got
right.
nowhere else to
It,
go.
you know, maybe it might be time to go see that doctor on, the one, he's like so blunt with people. And if you do not stop eating, you will
Yeah, he's
die.
an Indian. I was gonna say he's an Indian guy, I think. Yeah, yeah. It's
I think
time.
he's German, isn't he?
Oh, is he? I don't know. I thought there was some
Yeah.
idiot Indian
But
guy
he
that
will
does
tell
that.
people, he's like, you eat too much, you will kill self. And I'm like,
Are you sure
100%.
he's not Japanese based on that accent that you were doing
Yeah.
there?
So it's
I
so funny. My husband, he's like, Steph, when you do like your Hispanic accent, it sounds Asian. I don't think you understand like the regional accents of the world. You just go into a Japanese voice for any kind of accent that you're doing.
Yeah. You've done it again. So your German
Yes.
is sounds a lot like your Spanish, and both of them must be Japanese. So
That's because I'm from Arkansas and literacy ain't everything.
well,
You
doesn't have
actually
to
used to
be.
have a shirt that said that. And I remember I got really offended because I was like, you know what? Just because you're from Missouri,
Oh,
that
good.
doesn't make you better.
Did it say literacy ain't everything? It said something like that.
It did. It said
I forgot all about
Arkansas,
this.
literacy ain't everything.
That's right. It had a big state on it. I do have another Arkansas shirt that has a giant state on it as well, and it has a little star where Jonesboro is. And it
Yeah.
says Jonesboro. Not so bad if you're never sober. I like that shirt. I've had that one since I graduated college. I thought that was a good one.
They have a dry
Um,
county map of Arkansas too that you can, I've seen a t shirt. And it's like know before you go. And it's a map of Arkansas and it's got like color coded dry counties and wet counties because if you're not from Arkansas,
yeah,
there are only certain counties in this state that sell alcohol. And then even some of those quote wet counties that excludes Sundays. So
yeah.
you've got to plan ahead. And unless you're near a wet county with access to a military base, and you haven't prepared and you're wanting to have like a football party on a Sunday afternoon, then you're not going to have any beverages.
Yeah, in Jonesboro, it was about 15 minutes to get to the liquor store, to the wet county. But on Sundays, it was 30 minutes to get to Missouri. Um, Mr. T's liquor store. You always had to cross the Kahlua-colored waters of the St. Francis River to the scenic resort town of Cardwell, Missouri. That was the radio bit. I still remember it. Very Mr. T's. And for all those of you that don't know the color of Kahlua, it's brown. So they
It is.
really made it sound tropical, and it was just shit. shit colored. So
But it sounds like Kahlua does sound. It's like, ooh, Kahlua Cafe. I'm on vacation with a fancy coffee drink.
and now they sell cars with the alcohol, and I think they used to, and would give you like free booze when you drove off with your new car at Mr. T's.
Oh, it's like, wow, that is so counterintuitive. It's like, go get a DUI with your brand new. It's
Yeah,
like,
go
make your
crash this.
insurance.
Crash this. Come back to see me. I got another one for you. Yeah, it's a good business model. It,
Really is.
it's
It's
a lot
like,
of
have
repeat
you ever
customers,
been to New Orleans? Like,
and they
if
have
you
bail
drive,
bonds too. I think.
yeah, if you drive to New Orleans, the whole way there, they have like these drive-through daiquiri stands and stuff.
Yeah, I've seen
And I'm
them.
like,
I
how is
didn't
this
drive through.
legal? Yeah,
When my brother was 18, the legal drinking age during Mardi
Mardi
Gras
Gras.
was 18 in New
Hmm.
Orleans. So they
Yeah,
drove like a senior trip type thing all the way down to New Orleans just to drink legally. Um,
yeah. And
Crazy.
let's be honest, I don't think that, underage drinking is going to really be something that you have a hard time getting away with in New Orleans. But,
Yeah.
they did have a drinking age of 18 until like the 90s sometime. And the only reason that they changed that is because they were losing federal funding because their drinking age was
Uh,
18 and they weren't getting like money from the federal government for stuff like highways and infrastructure. So it kind of coerced them, to follow suit.
didn't know that's
But
why
I
they
just think like if
changed
you're
it.
old enough to fight in a war and get
Yeah.
drafted, you're old enough to have a beer. That's just how I look at it.
Do you think you're old enough to smoke marijuana?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I
And
think I do. Yeah.
because I don't even know if that's the legal age up here. I feel like it's 21, just like alcohol, because it's legal here
It is.
for
It's so I know
recreational here.
Branson had, yeah, I think it's 21 recreationally, but Arkansas only has it for medical. The thing
Yeah.
about it, like, I think there are certain drugs that should not be considered ever legal or available just because they're too destructive, like meth, fentanyl, obviously, heroin, prescription opiates. Those are terrible things. Drinking, marijuana, it's like you make that such a taboo thing for society. It's only going to make kids like want to do it faster and more. So that's just kind of my take on it.
Yeah. I mean, I have no qualms making it at 18 as the age. Maybe 19. I don't know. At least get you out of
Yeah.
high school, maybe. I don't know. So you can't supply a lot of other children in your
Yeah.
class. I don't know. Maybe it's 19. Maybe you lower it. But yeah, I agree. If you're going to serve in the
Yeah.
military, maybe you got to have a military ID. So you serve in your
Maybe.
country, then you
That's
can.
right.
That's not a bad idea.
It's
Just
like
thought that
man
one up.
up and you can toke up.
That's right. Man up, toke up. That should be the new Army slogan they should get. They're
you
having
know,
problems with recruitment, so maybe if they change the legal drinking
that's
age
right.
and marijuana age to 19 for
Make it
military
an
people,
incentive.
incentive to join,
Yeah.
man up, toke up, we'll pay for your college and buy you a beer,
Yeah.
or
You want
whatever.
to you want to hear something that's hilarious though? Like Skylar, when she was in high school, Cabot is a very bougie public school, and she was friends with all the foreign exchange students, which was weird because she had like a friend from Germany, a friend from Italy, a friend from Kazakhstan, and then there was this other guy who was like Swedish. So she comes home one day and she was like, "You're never going to believe this, but one of our exchange students is getting deported." I was like, what? So I guess the Swedish guy brought pot to school. And
That'll do it.
I'm like, seriously? Out of all the foreign exchange students, I'm thinking it might be somebody from like South America or Colombia, that ends up bringing marijuana to school because those are all associated with the drug lords. But no,
Yeah.
we've got the one Swede, you know, the most straight laced nation ever is the one that's, as a teenager, getting deported and losing his ability to be a foreign exchange student.
Yeah, that sucks for him.
It
I wonder though,
does.
they're close over there with like Amsterdam and stuff, and I'm sure in Europe the legal
Yeah.
drinking age is 18 most everywhere you go, I'm sure. things are lax over there in that department a
Yeah.
little bit.
I think it was just like the
But yeah, you would think.
combination of being a foreign exchange student, being a minor, bringing it into a public school, which is, government property, and then you've also violated your host family. I'm like, how would you even deal with that? But
Yeah, that would be tough. That
yeah,
would be tough. So your your um your podcast here is just to connect. No
yeah.
no overarching
No
topics
overarching
that
themes. No,
no
I just
topics.
so what I realized is like me, a lot of the people that I've ran into in my life, unless we like share our thoughts and our thought processes, we're not broadcasting our lives on TikTok every day like our kids'
Hmm.
generation are. And so if we don't start like talking about it, we're not going to leave any legacy. And I was like, we have had some crazy things happen, some good life experiences. So I'm just like, I'm going to talk to different people, get this recorded. Like your sons will get to hear this conversation someday.
That's a
And they'll be
great
like, hey,
point.
dad, so I guess you're not going to pay for my college education, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, that was planned way before you
That's
even knew
right.
about that.
Yeah. It's like,
But
sorry, kids, I don't have an extra 2.5 mil to pay for
yeah,
all of
by
y'all
the
to go to
time my kids
college.
get there at 6 or 7 years old, it'll be astronomical. Well, I'm hopeful maybe it'll be free. I don't know. I mean, 2 year trade school. I think community college should be free. I think a
I do
2 year
too.
community college or trade school should be free. I think if you go beyond that, it's on you. You know, one thing I do for my kids, I do like their birthdays. I write them a letter every year, and I put it in an
That's
envelope
cool.
with $20, and so I keep them all in a safe. So when they turn 18, I'm going to give them those letters. Of course, that won't be shit for money by the time they're there. What is that, like $360 or something? I don't know.
I don't
Whatever.
care. I don't care
But
what year you turn 18 in. You're going to be happy to have $360 that
that's
you
true.
didn't have before.
That's true. And maybe I'll up the money when they hit a certain age or something.
It's
But
really
back when
neat.
I started 11 years ago, I felt like that was a lot of money. Now I don't. But, it's cool. They get a letter. I tell them a little bit about what their favorite things are, what kind of birthday party we had, what grade they're in, what sport they're playing, what they like and don't like, and a little bit about me and mom and their brother, just so they can read it like a
Yeah.
little 50-page book when they turn 18 that'll chronologically talk about things. So I do that for
That's
them.
so cool.
But I like this video idea. It kind of reminds me because I do listen. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. I used to, and I might start again whenever I have to start going back to work 3 days a week
Hmm.
in the office in February. I probably will. But now I'm home and I watch TV or do whatever, and like I take my kids to school and pick them up. It's 5 minutes. Like we live 5 minutes from their school, so I don't listen to a lot of podcasts like I used to. But when I do,
Yeah.
I do like Joe Rogan, depending on the
Me too.
guest. I like to listen when he has, somebody on there that talks about aliens. Somebody I like when he has
Same.
physicists on. I like learning about,
Love it.
time travel speeds, like all kinds of stuff like that.
Graham Hancock has the best guest that he has. All the
I
Graham
think
Hancock episodes are great.
I think I've listened to him. I'd have to go back and scroll and see. I can't remember everybody's names. Um, but he had somebody talking about, he had this Asian guy who's like super smart. He started like, he built his own like, you know, uh, electron collider or something, atom smasher in his garage when he was like 10, that kind of smart. And he
This was
was
that
talking about,
mathematician.
yeah, I think so. He was talking about AI and different stuff, and our Joe was asking him about it. But he's just like, yeah, I mean, you can already, well, we can, Tupac's probably fixing to start coming out with albums where people are going to take his songs and his voice that he wrote, never released, and put them together, and then they're going to record all this
Right.
music. And they were talking about people being able to live forever, and maybe you're not in your body, but your consciousness is all going to be uploaded pretty much. And, you know, it's going to be, this is similar, but they're going to be able to have my voice like off this podcast. You could interview me for 5 hours, learn about all my thoughts,
Hmm.
have my voice, my mannerisms, and then my grandchildren can meet me. So instead of
That's
going to
right.
a history book they're going to be able to talk to George Washington or
Right.
talk to me and have a conversation with me on things that I knew and love and believe. And
Mm-hmm.
they can ask me questions and I can answer intuitively based off
Like an
AI with,
avatar. Yeah.
yes, we're going to be on
Mm-hmm.
other planets as avatars. We're going to,
Can you opt
it's
out
just,
from that?
maybe. Why would you? Why
I
would
mean,
you?
I don't know because it's not really you. It would be an avatar of your likeness that is, sort of digitized, but you don't really know, like, at what point could that cross over and it really be your consciousness without a
Could be.
body. I don't want to be stuck like in a cloud or in a machine waiting on people to want to interact with me. Like,
You might not. You might do whatever you want.
but
I
you
mean,
could be
maybe you already
what if
will.
you're like you may, and your consciousness may not be attached to that likeness, the digital version of you, but what if it is, and then you're essentially confined to a machine, and that's scary to me because
I,
Kanye West did this for Kim Kardashian. Like, her dad, the attorney, the
yeah,
Kardashian man that got killed and he died a long time ago.
yeah.
So
Robert.
yeah, Robert Kardashian. So a few years ago on Christmas, Kanye made like a 3D hologram of her dad talking to her, like giving her a message. And it was weird because he even said something about like, "and your awesome husband, Kanye."
Yeah,
And
that
it looked
sucks
like he
when
was standing there.
someone can put words in your mouth. Sucks. Um,
Yeah, because I don't want my dad saying anything.
that he wouldn't normally
Like,
say to you. Like
because
he
he would
wouldn't
not.
say "I love you." Maybe he's a ditto guy, like ditto. He never
Right.
says it, and for him to come out and tell you all the time, you'd be like, "That's not you."
Right. And he would never say your awesome husband, Kanye, because he probably wouldn't like my husband in real life
Yeah. So what?
if I was Kim Kardashian. Yeah.
But what if you could take this video? What if you? What if I could just make a video and talk about all the great thing, all the things I want to tell my kids, and save it, and then they put that in an avatar where I'm standing like right here in front of them, and maybe if they ask me a question I don't know the answer to or I didn't
Mm-hmm.
address on my own, I would say, I don't know what you're asking me.
Yeah.
But if it's
I
like,
mean,
hey,
I
what did you
think
think about mom? What did you think about me? What was your, what
I
did you
think if
love? What
you
did you,
had input on the creation of it and you were okay with it. But like in Robert Kardashian, his that didn't even exist before he died. So he is participating in something that wasn't even a concept during his lifetime and he never
yeah,
really consented to.
yeah,
So if
no,
you do, I
but
mean,
now it's a concept. Yeah. So
right.
yeah,
And
like
it's crazy. Like
that's what
it's
that math guy was
bizarre.
talking about was quantum computing. He's like, because we're going to be able to compute at the atom level, and which is going to make people possibly live on through brainwaves for forever. And maybe they can turn that into voice. I don't know. Like, would you keep your brain in a jar hooked up? Like,
No. Because I can't imagine, like, if you really want to think about it,
but I don't think you're there.
our body is just the hardware for the software of our brain. Like, our body is the interface with which our brain interacts with the world. So
So,
technically, it's the same thing as a laptop with a CPU inside of it. But I don't have to wait on a third party to move my
yeah.
physical being around.
Do you think that, you see, because this would maybe change my mind, is if I die, then my soul, whatever that happens to be, my consciousness floats away. And maybe it goes in another being. Maybe. Maybe, maybe we're friggin' aliens. I don't know. Maybe it floats out to space and goes somewhere else. Maybe the people that started life on this planet, whoever it be, God or us who moved away and came back, I don't know. you know, maybe it floats on. Maybe, heaven, whatever that idea is to most, it goes. But if you wanted to live forever, that would be wild because what if that doesn't allow your consciousness or your spirit to leave and go to heaven? So now you're stuck
Right. Yeah. So then
forever
I'm going to
as a
opt out. Yeah.
physical being.
Because my thing is like, I don't see humans getting to the point of compassion and like being able to make good decisions for humanity. So that's why I'm like, I'm going to opt out because I want my soul to go to the light. It's like, go find Jesus. When I'm done here, I don't want to have to be trapped by any sort of man-made technology or anything, because I don't like most people, and I'm not going to let them determine what happens to my actual consciousness.
Yeah, I wonder. I think we'll get to a point we can live forever. If that
Yeah.
happens in our lifetime, I don't think it will, but maybe my
Walt
kids or
Disney was a big
grandkids.
advocate of that. He truly believed that that was going to be a possibility.
I think we're going to merge with machines.
We
Um,
already have
we have a little,
Neuralink.
but
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be more of a issue to where artificial heart, lungs, whatever is going to be implanted in you to where you aren't on these big machines to live. They're just like cell phones. A computer went from this room down to my phone. Like it's going to get smaller to a chip in your brain or whatever. And, you're going to have the ability to maybe live forever. Um,
Mm-hmm.
is that good? Is it bad? I don't know. I like life. I'm scared to die. I can say that even
Yeah.
if I believe in God or not. I'm scared to die. The older I get, the more scared I get. Like
Yeah.
every little
I don't
pain
think
when I wake up,
anybody, same.
you
Like
know.
my bones are starting to get like where they make really strange sounds and pops and things move like they didn't once do. But at the same time, like, unless science can get to the point where they can completely stop aging, like, I think that's going to have like, that's another consideration. If you
I
could
think
live
it's possible.
forever, then at what point are you frozen in suspended animation? Are you going to be frozen as a 28-year-old and stay that way forever, or as a 90-year-old? Because if you have to live as a
I think you'll
90-year-old
choose.
forever,
No,
you know,
I think you choose.
yeah.
I think it will reverse aging. I think there will be, just like we can regrow hair and chameleons
Mm-hmm.
can regrow their tail or whatever. I think
So
regeneration of
weird.
limbs and things are possible. A lot of possible stuff.
Mm-hmm. Speaking
Um,
of lizards, and then we'll wrap this one up here because actually you and I've had the longest podcast conversation I've had
I could
yet.
do this
So
again for
I can
hours.
too. I could too if I
So
didn't have to pee here in a few minutes. Um, you got to show your boys this. So this is something that I learned being from Stone County. My mom showed me this. You know the lizards that have the blue tails? So if you catch them and you just hold them up to your ears, they'll bite onto your earlobes and dangle like earrings. And it doesn't even hurt.
I'm going to
They
hard
just
pass
kind of
on that for two reasons. One, I don't think I've ever
salmonella.
seen one around here. Maybe they're in the mountains of Arkansas, the Ozarks, but
They
I
are.
haven't really seen one here. I can tell you my youngest is terrified of all bugs, just
Yeah.
absolutely terrified. He got smoked on his hand by a wasp on July 4th, like when he was 2 or 3, and
Yeah.
anything flying is out.
It's the
Flies are,
worst
he
pain
is
ever.
terrified of flies. His whole hand swelled up. So then we play soccer this year, and he's playing soccer. It's his first year, second year, and he goes and we go by the net. It hadn't been mowed in a while, and all of a sudden, this little boy in front of me just starts screaming. I'm like, "What the fuck?" And I look, and he's got a uh, a hornet, I think, on his arm, or a yellow jacket, whatever, on his arm. I'm like, "Oh shit." Brush it off. I'm like, oh, buddy, all right. And then this kid's just, or I go to flick. That's what it was. I go to flick it off, and I'm doing this, and he's just screaming, and his parents are like, look at me. Practice one, day one. I don't know any of these people. City
They're
league.
like thinking that you're hitting their kid. You're like,
No, I'm doing something. And all of a sudden, my youngest is like right over here screaming. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I look over and he's covered in them. And I'm like, holy shit. And so I just dart over and I pick him up so fast, like one of his shoes stayed in its spot, like right out of his shoe. And I sprint over to the side and I'm just knocking him off of him left and right and pick him up and carry him some more. And he gets hit like 5 times. I had a couple stings in my
that
leg.
is
So
so sad.
if he was not terrified of bugs before and he was like starting to forget that wasp in the hand
Mm-hmm.
incident, oh no,
Yeah.
we are back in
That's
full
traumatizing. I
force.
mean, that's
It
more
is.
stings than most people have in their entire adult like lifespan.
Yeah,
So,
it was
yeah.
brutal.
Is
Brutal.
he allergic to any of it or anything
No,
like
thank
that?
God. That's what I don't think so. And that's what made me nervous because when he got hit in his hand as a kid, I mean that whole thing swelled up.
Yeah.
but he was okay. But then, getting hit like 6 times in a row, I was like, oh
Mm-hmm.
shit. But
So
he
my
made it
husband
through.
recently found out that he's allergic to beef and pork. He had a tick
Did he
bite
get a tick bite? He got the
he
tick bite.
did. And I'm telling you,
Fuck.
so one night,
That's got to be
like,
a lot. That's got to ruin your life, right? It just
he
ruins your
did.
life.
Yeah, he's like, is it even worth it? He went to eat with a buddy and Lucas, and then they came back, and I was getting ready for bed. I'm like eating Lucky Charms like I do every night. And he was sitting out in the shop with one of his friends, and he walked in the house and he was like, something's wrong. And he was like full body rash, just like creeping up his face. Had to go to the ER, and then he had all this testing and stuff. So now he has to carry an EpiPen. But it has been bad because Blake, like, he is a steak and hamburger person. Like, that's what he lives on.
Yeah.
So he can't eat beef, can't eat pork, and it's been really rough.
That
Yeah.
would be absolute
Mm-hmm.
worse.
Yeah.
Has that ever went away in anybody, or is that a lifer? Does
So
it?
he actually had a little shrimp challenge 2 weeks ago. That's what the allergist called it. He had to take like 5 pieces of shrimp. And so now he's able to eat shrimp. They said you're fine with that because they didn't even know if shellfish, if he could eat shrimp, lobster, or anything like that.
He
They're
can have
like, shrimp's
chicken, right?
okay.
Chicken,
You
he's
got the
okay with
chicken.
chicken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's like, seriously, I mean,
Ugh.
he's almost 44 years old, or he is 44 years old now, and he's always been meat and potatoes guy,
Oh yeah.
particularly beef.
Now dairy doesn't
Yeah.
bother him, does it? It's not like the
No.
full beef
Mm-mm.
product. It's just beef.
No.
Okay.
And I mean,
Gosh.
he could eat it, and there's going to be like a 10% chance that he dies. So, yeah.
I have to risk it every day.
I know.
Be
I'm
like,
like, how could
how much are EpiPen?
they are expensive? We got two. They are.
I
And I only
bet.
know this because Skylar's boyfriend has like severe allergies too, and he has to carry them. So I'm like, you guys are so weak with your.
What's wrong with all these people these days?
They did right. They didn't drink enough beer as an adolescent, so
That's right.
their immune systems are just like suppressed.
Yeah,
The
they
barley
weren't.
and hops does a lot of activation for you.
Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
I had my first was a Stroh's Light sitting on my dad's lap when I was about 6 years old. Stroh's
Yeah.
Light. It's
It's
a
like, come on,
delicious
son.
beverage.
He's like, we've got to get your immune system fired up here. We've got to get your T
Uh,
cells stimulated.
so just before we go, for anyone that doesn't know how me and Stephanie met,
Oh yeah.
we were in the Pizza Hut parking lot in Mountain View, Arkansas in the summer of '97, and I had no friends, but I figured out the cruising loop, and I was cruising by
Yep.
myself, sadly. And I was driving my mom's, I think it was a Buick Skylark at the time,
Turquoise. Mm-hmm.
turquoise. And Stephanie was a little Honda or something, and was going to
Yeah.
pull out. Going to pull out, she decides to put it in reverse for some reason. And so our little meet cute was her backing into me. And I think I might have, the
I
pointy
did.
part of that Skylark might have popped a hole in your car, but my car was
It
okay.
did. But I
But
clearly remember this. So, and also, I wasn't just like backing up out of a parking spot. I decided I wasn't going to go where I was going, and I just put my car in reverse and hit the gas.
yeah,
And I remember looking in the rearview mirror, and you have to understand this is like 1996, and it's in very
97.
rural
No,
97, very rural
no.
Arkansas. And I look in my rearview mirror, and I was like, "Who is this guy that thinks he's Limp Biscuit?" You know.
Probably had the hat on. I
Yeah,
had an
and you had your
earring.
earrings. Nobody in our whole school
Oh,
had earrings.
no.
And
I
then
was
I was like,
coming
oh
from
my God,
Missouri.
I'm so sorry I backed into your car. But it's funny because my husband literally puts notes on my steering wheel. Look behind you. Like, he does it all the time because he's like, you're going to back into somebody. And now
Uh,
that you've said this, he's going to use this. Like, see, it's a thing your whole
yeah,
life you've done. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So then we both worked at Pizza Hut. I got a
Yep.
job there. We became friends, and so we'd occasionally cruise the streets of Mountain View, and Stephanie
Listen to
would
Creed and
make me.
Sublime.
Stephanie introduced me to the band Creed, and I introduced her to Sublime. So who's the better friend?
Adam.
Yeah,
I know.
and
With
we
arms
decided.
wide open. Do you know they're coming back?
Yes, they single handedly won the World Series for the Rangers, I guess, with Jesus and Creed in their corner.
I guess
And
it's the, yeah, he came back from his delusions.
yeah, and I think it was Wednesdays. They had buy one get one pasta night. Was that Wednesdays?
That was,
Yeah, and everybody loved the Cavitini. That's what they all wanted in their little
yeah.
foil baskets when it was to go, or their pans, which was a nightmare to clean. But yeah, so we and there's a song with Sublime where he says, "I got something for your punk ass," and
Mm-hmm.
we would sing that.
Santeria.
Yeah, Stephanie would have a nickname for some reason. I think someone dumped a bucket of minnows on you at a party
I
before I knew you,
did. Like a bucket
and
of minnows is what it sounds like, and that's what it was.
yeah, and so we came up with our band, because we would cruise and sing, and our band was Punk Ass and Minnow, and we were one day going to play, and our album was going to say live at the Bag of Cavitini, and it was going to be
Yes.
the venue, Punk Ass and Minnow live at the
Yeah.
Bag of Cavitini. I think that's
And
still a great name.
I think it's amazing because you know what? Ultimately, this medium is the Bag of Cavitini. I just
Yeah,
realized that.
we
Like,
are Punk Ass
we
and
are. We're
Minnow
punk
live
ass
at
and minnow, and we're on the Bag of Cav.
Bag of Cavitini. So ever since, been friends ever since. Went to
We
prom
have.
together.
We sure
Uh,
did.
just buds,
Yeah.
lifelong buds.
We
See,
had a
we've been
great
talking,
time.
been
We've
talking
been
for
talking
almost
like an
two
hour and a
hours.
half. And
No, no,
we're going to have to do a part two because
yeah.
there's so
Maybe
many things. Yeah.
I was starting to write down like when I'd come up with something, I'm like, oh, we got off on a sidetrack. Go back to it. Go back to it. So maybe we'll have an agenda next time of at least
Yeah.
general topics, what to hit on.
Hmm.
Your family, my family, what's been going
Yeah.
on, dreams, future, your business, and
Yeah.
what I do, and our goals. Maybe next time we'll hit on important things other than just memory lane here.
I think that is the
Um,
important things, though.
yeah, well, it is, but I mean, if we're gonna
Yeah.
show this to our kids one day when I'm old, and I
Yeah.
can say, "Hey, this was all the fun times I had with this one person you don't know, but here was the goals. Here's the
Right.
nuggets that you need to remember in life.
Here's the
Like
wisdom that we want to impart. That's right.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, I would say number one thing is to your job is not who you are, and it's not important. It is just a way to get money to go do the things you love because
That's
you don't
right.
have much time on this earth. You really don't.
It does not
Um,
define you.
it does not define you, and it's only
Mm-mm.
it's a means to do something that pays you the most, that gives you the most free time, because that's all that matters, is what
That's
makes you
right.
happy. And maybe you find happiness in your job. Good luck. You're good for you. But me, it's just something for money.
That's
I
right.
don't have those aspirations to be CEO. I just want to live
I
my
mean,
comfortable life and continue doing
yeah,
what I'm doing.
that's
So
exactly
I
right.
feel like a very lucky man, a lucky person. I feel like when I say lucky, if everyone threw their problems in a hat, you'd always pull yours back out first. And
Right.
I think that's right, because I don't
True
think I have a lot
story.
of them. I don't think I have a lot of them, and you
I don't
shouldn't
think
judge
I do
folks. And
either. And to be honest, there's no way I would go back to being 19, 20 years old ever again because
no, I
I feel like that was so much fun in a like developmental way, but getting through that and having your family and your spouse and your kids and that comfort and security trumps everything else.
yeah, I look forward to my kids being a little older. I get caught wanting to wish
Yeah.
them away sometimes, and I shouldn't. Not wish them away, wish the years away till they're a little older,
Yeah.
and we can hang more than me be their dad. But
That's fun. Because
you
I'll
know,
say this, your sons, you have two boys that are at the most annoying age any kid can be. And I know because we had like five of them all in that window at one
uh-huh.
time,
It's tough.
and so they get older and you're like, man, it's so fun to hang out with you.
Yeah,
And
and
yeah. Hmm.
so I definitely look forward to that. I would say I think Grumpy Old Man had a good had a good quote. The only regrets in life you have are the risks you didn't take. I probably should have took more. I would would leave with that parting wisdom. I did hear, I don't ever learn anything at work, like as far as when leaders have their talks, and I want to listen to
Mm-hmm.
a Fortune 50 CEO try to impart some kind of knowledge on me to make me
Mm-hmm.
grateful for my job or any shit like that. But if there's one thing I could pass on to anybody who came to this podcast looking for career advice from a couple of very successful people with great lives, I would say anytime you're in a room and you're on a call, and this lady said this, Melissa Arnaldi, she said this, and I thought it was great because there's been times I've gotten myself in a lot of trouble on phone calls wanting to run my mouth or give my opinion is, anytime you talk, before you talk and say anything, you should ask yourself three questions. Is one, does it need to be said? Does what you're
Mm-hmm.
fixing to say need to be said? Two, does it need to be said by you? Or is that someone else's place?
Mm-hmm.
So should it be said? Should it be said by you? And then third, should it be said by you right now? Is it the right time to do this, to say this, to bring this up? So those three things I would leave you
Mm-hmm.
with is, is this something that should be said, even maybe on this podcast if your children are going to be listening? Do you need to say it? You
Yeah.
know, should it be said by you? And should it be said by you right now? Is now the time? So
Very insightful. And I think that's going to carry you through like every different walk in life, whether it's your career, your relationships. Guys, sometimes you need to ask yourself those three questions before saying
uh,
something to your wife, you
yeah,
know? Or I need to say that to myself before because sometimes I'm the queen of blurting things and that could help me out too. Yeah.
yeah. I've
It's good
used
life
that
advice.
knowledge on some projects I've been on. I'm a project manager at AT&T, by the way. For anyone who doesn't know, started answering the phones there. I became a manager. Then I traveled the world, and that's how I bumped into Stephanie about 6 or 7 years ago. I was traveling to Little Rock. I've been in the Philippines and Costa Rica with my job, and now I'm just a project manager. I've been there 20, going on 22 years. Um, but yeah, that's one. I'm on a project now, and it's just like, this, somebody should say this, and I'm like, this is not my place to say this. And even if
Yeah.
it is, it should be not in front of this audience. It should be off
Hmm.
to the side. So
And that's
anyway, take.
great because look at you. You're
Well,
still young. You have a young
yeah.
family and you've got 22 years under your belt.
Yeah, I hope to hit 30 before I
I
retire,
mean,
and I'll still be young. I'll try to retire at 52 with
yeah.
my 30 years. I can
Hmm.
retire in 6, but not the way I want.
That is
But I'd
amazing.
like to retire at 50,
I would
52.
too.
So 8.5 more years is when I want to let it go. I don't know if I can afford it or
Sweet.
not, but
Plus, you
that's,
have a young wife.
yeah,
You're
but
like,
the
oh,
problem is
Whitney's
them
got,
young babies. Yeah, she's got another 15 years in her. I put in more than her. But I'm
and
so
Whitney's
ready.
in healthcare, right? Isn't she a
Yeah,
nurse?
she's an
So
RN.
she's
She does
got, she
well.
can, yeah, you
She
guys
does
have got it
well.
going on.
Give us insurance for that gap. It's so weird. The other day I was cleaning up. My niece got married Saturday, and I was cleaning up after the wedding, and I took a push broom for this hall, and I was like, it wasn't a push broom. It was like a push mop, and I was like doing it like people do on the basketball court at halftime, and I'm
Yeah.
like a dust mop, and I'm pushing this dust mop. And they're like, "Well, you don't have to do the floors. We got to take down all this stuff." And I was like, "Oh no, 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 no! I want to do this." And I was like, "I can't wait to retire." And I always thought I'd be like a substitute teacher, just work the days I feel like. Maybe 3 or 4
Yeah.
days a week when the weather sucks and I can't go play golf or
Exactly.
go fish or something. And I'm like, that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm like, it'd be great to be a bank teller. No, wait, maybe a janitor. Like
Yeah.
just a
So
brainless.
I want to be
I'd love
when
to
I
go
retire,
deliver
I'm going to
pizza.
be
I'll
one of
deliver
those
pizza
master
again.
gardeners. I'm going to, like you do, you get certified to be a master gardener and then you go and do community projects and help them do like flower beds and stuff. That's what I'm going to do
Does that
because you get
pay
to dig in
money?
the dirt.
Yeah.
It's volunteer, but I love doing that.
Yeah,
So,
I still need to make some money. I feel like just to pay the
yeah.
utilities, like just like $1,000 a month. Work like 3 days a week here and there. Substitute
Right.
teach and then use that money to play golf the next day or catch a Zach Bryan concert or something.
Hey, I got
Um,
tickets to go see him in May. I'm taking the kids.
Same in May. Coming
Oh,
to St.
yeah, in Little
Louis.
Rock. We're going to the
No,
Rock.
St. Louis. St. Louis. Yeah, May
Gotcha.
3rd or 4th, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're going the 10th, the week after that.
Yep. I'll let you
Yeah, so
know.
you'll have to let me know how it goes.
I'm sure it'll be fantastic. I can't wait.
He's so awesome.
He is. Um, Real quick, just got back from Asheville, North Carolina. Favorite place in the world now.
It's
Never been.
beautiful.
It is an
Mm-hmm.
amazing town. If you like to drink beer and hike, it's best of both
Mm-hmm.
worlds. So for anyone out there in the North
Awesome.
Carolina area, go there.
Yeah, Blake's from South Carolina, and I've never been to Asheville, but my stepkids have said it's really beautiful. Blake likes
There's like
it. So,
50 microbreweries there. So everybody was like, go to Sedona. And we debated going to like Flagstaff, Sedona to
okay.
go hike, to get into hiking and do that
Yes.
stuff. But it's like wine country and we're like
Yeah.
beer people.
So,
So we
Skylar
chose
and I,
Asheville.
we were 2 weeks ago, she and I looked at, we were going to fly to this resort in Sedona, do like a
Mm-hmm.
girls' trip at the spa. But the
Yeah.
thing is, you can only fly into Flagstaff or Phoenix. If you fly into Flagstaff, then you got to drive like 2 hours to get to
Yeah.
Sedona.
Yeah.
I don't want to drive like that when I'm on vacation.
Yeah. And we were trying to save a little bit of money anyway. It was our 15-year wedding anniversary, and we're trying to save a little bit of money anyway. And I was like, man, if we fly there, we got to pay airfare, then we got to rent a damn car because there's no easy
Right.
way to get anywhere. And I was like, I can drive to Asheville from here in 7.5 hours. And I was like,
And
then
you
I
can
can
have your vehicle.
come and go as you please. You're not getting to an
Correct.
airport 2 hours early and traveling to airports. I was like, we're going to save so much money on airfare and rental car. We can actually enjoy ourselves more while we're there. And
Yeah, like
it
Whitney
was
can buy shirts and
beautiful.
stuff.
Yeah, buy a shirt. It was
Yeah.
beautiful. And there's like 50 breweries in that town of 500,000 people. It's like more breweries per capita than anywhere in the United States. So we would go to like Mount Mitchell and we would take a little hike. We've never hiked before, but we're like, let's get into hiking. And so, like, let's go look at the fall colors. It was like perfect weather in October. Fall colors. We're hiking, seeing nature, just getting out, and then uh, wake up whenever do that. Then drive into town, park your car, and walk. We're downtown, so it's like you walk 2 blocks. Like, let's go in here and have a beer. And then
Hmm.
it's like, all right, let's walk 2 blocks. Let's walk half a block and go have another beer and eat a pretzel. Let's go here and have a beer.
So I'm
Like,
not sure if you're like working for the Asheville Parks and Rec or the
I
Bureau
would,
of Tourism, but I'm going to go
I
there
would.
now because I have
It's
this picture in
beautiful.
my head and I want to go.
It's beautiful. Check out my Facebook page and look at the
Okay.
photos we uploaded. It is beautiful up there,
Awesome.
and this town is amazing. It was me. It was Whitney and I's favorite place so far to go. And we were going to do an all inclusive beach trip, which I can't stand. Um, don't get me wrong. I like the beach when it is all inclusive, but
Right.
carrying
The beach
coolers
is
and
a lot of
chairs and
work.
shit. It is a
It's a
lot of
lot
work.
of work. And then you don't
And
want
we,
to undo your setup at the end of the day because you're tired
yep,
and you've been drinking,
yep. And you got to.
and
And
then they throw your stuff away.
we do it every summer. We've done it, but we started going with family, and that's been a
Yeah, we
lot
do too.
better. But it's still a lot of work, and it's
It
just like,
is.
so that's why we're going to do all inclusive, so you don't have to work. But then
Mm-hmm.
I was like, Winnie, can't I? Was like, I'm tired of it. It's like, let's go somewhere we've never been. So we narrowed it down to either like Grand Canyon or that area of the country. And I was
Yeah.
like, let's do fall foliage, way cheaper. We can do Arizona another time. We've been to New York, we've been to LA, we've been to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Next time I think it'll either be Arizona, maybe upper Northwest, like into Canada and Oregon, or I want to go to Mount Glacier National Park, Montana, somewhere
Oh
like that.
yeah.
But
I would love that. And I would
anyway, I know
also
we
like
were,
to go out west. So
yeah,
I would
and
love to go
I
out
told Whitney
west and
that
just see all that.
I say when our kids get a couple years older, because my mom did that. They didn't even have rooms anywhere. They just took off on a 2 to 3 week drive. Her and my stepdad a couple years ago just said, when
Mm-hmm.
we're tired, we'll get a hotel. Where would we like to go next? Look on your phone. What's
Epic.
cool? Okay, let's go to the Badlands. Okay, let's go to Seattle. Okay, and they just made a big circle for like two and a
Love
half
it.
weeks, and I'm like, that sounds great to me. But
It does
anyway,
because like when you're retired and you can do things like that. But
and
yes,
yep.
so this is going to be you're going to be my like featured regular guest.
All right.
Once this
We
thing
can do
blows
little
up.
short. Kids don't have an attention span to watch 2 hours. You know,
They
they're
don't.
not like us, and we can watch Joe Rogan. So the
Yeah, we're
younger
long
audience,
format people. We're
yeah,
children of the 90s. We know how to pay attention.
yeah. So maybe, yeah, we can do quick hits. We can schedule like
Yeah,
we can co-host, we can co-anchor your podcast, and you can
dude.
hit a topic, and then we'll just once a
Okay.
week or every other week go. All right, you
Me,
can be Joe
you.
Rogan, and I'll be Bert Kreischer,
Okay.
or
I'll be
Tom
Theo
Segura.
Vaughn.
There you go.
You can
I'll
be
be
Joe
Bert
Rogan,
Kreischer.
and then we'll invite my brother John on, and he can talk to us about like because he's building a house right now, and he can just tell us all about it. And you need to hook him up with your stepbrother.
There you go. How's John doing?
He's doing great. He's married to a very beautiful woman. Do you remember Caroline Townsend?
I,
They
I've listened to Catherine's podcast, The Hell and Gone, which was really
okay.
good,
So yeah, John ended up with like a
years
beautiful
ago.
wife, beautiful kids. He works.
Don't
He's
say it
a
like he that shouldn't have happened. He ended up with a beautiful wife. We don't know how the hell
yeah.
that happened.
Odds
But
are that was not in his favor. Okay, but it happened, and now he's a pole climber. He works for Entergy, and he really likes it.
well,
We'll
we
get him
could talk
on
about pole climbing all day.
pole dancing and whatever, you know. So
Pole
yeah.
dancing, pole climbing, pole riding. He loves the pole.
He does love some
So
pole.
he loves the
Well,
pole.
well, thank you for coming on, and you guys come down to your mom's for the holidays. Give me a shout. I'll be up
We
there.
did. We were down there on Beanfest weekend. Rained that Saturday, but we usually don't go down around the holidays. It's usually around Folk Fest, Bean Fest, and once in the
Okay,
summer. It's usually random, spring
then
break,
holler at me like
fall break.
April-ish. Yeah,
Yeah.
when you guys are down for Folk Fest, give us a holler.
All right. In the
All
holler,
right?
holler from the holler. Sounds good.
Yeah, you holler at me in the holler
Yeah. I can't.
from your place.
Mangus holler at Mom's place. You sure you want me? I'm not going to that holler. That's a rough joint down there.
That's a real holler.
Hard.
That's a banjo holler.
You're gonna holler. You're gonna
You
squeal too.
are. Okay.
Anyway, well, take care. Hit
Thanks,
me up
Adam.
on the side. We'll do it
I
again.
will. Have a great day.
You too.
All
Bye
right,
bye.
bye.